Welcome back to Southern Life. On today's video, I'm going to be giving you an update on Clearwater and Clearwater Beach. By the way, there is now an Indies in Clearwater. Originally from Louisville, Kentucky, the first one was on Broadway in the West End, and then they opened one in Southside Louisville. They also have locations in Lexington and now in Florida. It's some good Kentucky cooking, and while it probably isn't healthy, it sure is good. I love their sweet tea, and I love their potatoes that are fried and sliced. Call them potato wedges. None of this stuff is healthy, but all of it is good. As we drive down Clearwater, the most obvious thing is it's a freaking ghost town. In the winter in Florida, Clearwater looks like a ghost town. It's not even supposed to look this empty in the summer. But this should just give you an idea of how bad things are in Florida right now. I just looked at a live stream from New Orleans, and their streets are packed. Even Louisiana is getting an upper hand on Florida when it comes to tourism. And there ain't enough time on today's video to elaborate on all the things that are going wrong in Florida. So let's just get to it. Let's take a look at what the vibe is on Clearwater Beach. We're driving towards the water right now, towards a beautiful sunset. All right, just a tip from the locals here. On the left-hand side, you'll see there's a dude that has a pickup truck that sells coconut water and sugarcane juice out of the back of his truck. He's been doing that for years out of that intersection. He's not very affordable, but come on, where else are you going to get a coconut cut for you in the middle of the road? It's a lot of money. I think it's a little overpriced. I think it was something like $10 a coconut last time I seen the homie. But hey, a hustle's a hustle. You can't knock it. Northeast of downtown, back up in here, is a little Mexican neighborhood. And if you want to get the best Mexican food in Clearwater, it's back up in there somewhere, just so you know. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about downtown Clearwater. That's the area we're driving through right now. I'll let the locals explain this to you because I still don't understand it. Downtown Clearwater is practically a ghost town most of the time. There just ain't much going on in downtown Clearwater. Downtown Clearwater is like a freaking ghost town. It's just empty. Clearwater Beach is a very fun place to be, but downtown Clearwater isn't. I'll let the locals handle explaining that situation. I'm personally not going to get into it. But as you can see, downtown Clearwater looks absolutely abandoned. Nothing going on. But all it takes is driving out of downtown Clearwater over that bridge, and you got something else going on. You got Clearwater Beach, one of the most fun places in all of Florida. Now, this is a Monday, okay? So you're going to see what this place looks like on a Monday. But again, it is Florida during the winter, and it should be packed. Everything should be packed. Florida is not looking very good. This is one of my favorite drives in Florida. You see the statue right here. You take this turn. You see that bridge. I'll let the locals tell you what the problem is with downtown Clearwater. They'll do a much better job than me. Now, I love this bridge. It reminds me of Sarasota. We have a similar bridge. So Clearwater and Sarasota are laid up exactly the same way with a bridge connecting downtown to the island. You don't have the same thing in too many places in Florida. You got something similar in Fort Myers, except for it's not downtown to the island. It's just Fort Myers to the island. There's something like this on the East Coast as well. So this is a very common sight in Florida. You leave downtown behind you, you cross that bridge, and then you got the beaches. Hey, you can say the same thing for Fort Lauderdale. You can say the same thing for Miami, maybe even West Palm Beach. So this is like a theme throughout Florida cities. Clearwater is among one of the most beautiful of all of these that we've mentioned. You can see all these cool beach resorts along the water, palm trees. We are now heading to the islands. Now, right about here, I noticed something awful, and it's the fact that we still have red tide. It is 3/3/2025, and yes, there is red tide. The state of Florida FWC has been lying to people and telling them that the red tide is gone and it doesn't exist right now. Hopefully that will be the case in the next few weeks as spring break is approaching. It wasn't as worst as it could be, but it was definitely bad. Now we are entering Clearwater Beach, and it's really sad that the first thing that I noticed is I could feel the red tide. Now, I did walk along the shore, and I didn't see any dead fish, But just because there's no dead fish doesn't mean you don't have red tide. Now, it isn't a high concentration. It's a low concentration, but I'm very sensitive to it. And me and Katie both noticed it as soon as we crossed the bridge. There is still red tide in the coast of Pinellas County. And FWC wants to put that underneath the rug because they feel it's going to affect tourism. Now, the big wave of people we can expect now, hopefully, is the spring breakers. Now, Florida has ran off the spring breakers and said that they don't want the spring breakers here. Cities, municipalities, crap, even the governor says that they don't want them here. A few sheriff's offices, like the one in Volusia County. My question is, who the crap wants to go to Volusia County to begin with? You couldn't pay me to go to Volusia County. I go there for my YouTube channel to get paid, and it still isn't fun. Regardless, the point being that the state of Florida has gone on a war against spring breakers, and we just had 2 hurricanes and some of the worst red tide we've ever had. A lot of political changes, a lot of new laws, a lot of things are not going good for Florida right now. And on top of that, we're scaring away the spring breakers, which is the next wave of people that will fill up these hotel rooms if they haven't been scared away. Now, like I said, I'm looking at that live stream out of New Orleans, and while the vibes are still pretty good here for a Monday, this ain't bad for a Monday. It's beautiful. This is probably one of the most beautiful places in Florida. It reminds me of California. Except for in California, you are smelling kelp, and in Florida, you are smelling dead fish. For being a Monday, this ain't that bad. I was actually surprised that there were this many people in Clearwater Beach, and I'm glad they're there. I'm glad they're enjoying it. I personally love this place. It's beautiful, and we just had some hurricane damages. They've cleaned up most of that on Clearwater Beach, so at least the resort and the touristy area looks really good. It looks usable. Everything's operational. The problem is, are people going to come to Florida with all the things that are happening here? Look how big that beach is. Like I said, this is probably one of the few beaches in Florida that reminds me of like San Diego or La Jolla or somewhere in California, except for here you're smelling dead fish. It's a beautiful little area, and it's very enjoyable. And if you're coming down to Clearwater Beach, if it looks like this now, hopefully there'll be more people, more vibes, warmer weather, and no red tide by the time spring break arrives. But the structures are there. Would I personally go somewhere where I'm smelling dead fish? Probably not. You're going to have to keep an eye on the, I used to say FWC red tide map, but that's not accurate anymore. It's crazy that even the state of Florida is trying to cover up how bad the ecological situation is in Florida. I let this guy borrow my Ferrari, and he still hasn't returned it, bro. He was supposed to wash it, bring it back to the garage. He's driving around. People might even think it's his, man. That's why you can't let people borrow your Ferrari. I mean, I can't believe how fast they cleaned up Clearwater Beach. This place was a complete mess after the hurricanes. And it's really impressive that it's already back to normal. They did a really good job of moving everything very fast in this area. And maybe that it's a bigger metropolitan area and the tax dollars from tourism are more important, so they got to get this wrapped up quickly. Look at how beautiful this view is. Palm trees, a beautiful sunset, the pier in the distance, lots of people having a good vibe. As I make the turn in the left corner, there is a Lamborghini. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a red Lamborghini right there. I think you didn't see it, but there's a red Lamborghini there. There's a lot of very luxurious vehicles out here. Notice how these guys noticed my vehicle coming, and they decided to walk in front of the road, blocking the road. Here's the police guy. One thing that I hate about Pinellas County beaches is that there's practically nowhere to park, and if you park somewhere, you have to pay. And not only are you paying for parking, you're also paying 2 bridges to get over there. But anyways, look at these dudes right here, man. That was the police meter guy right there on the right. They saw me coming, and what did they do? They walk in front of me very slowly. They saw me. They saw me. They're not stupid. People are very arrogant and very irritating in this part of Florida. I'm not sure why, but Clearwater seems to be one of the snobbiest places. If the locals want to tell me why people are snobby here, I would love to hear your explanation. You live here after all. You may have a better idea. This guy did flick us off right there, so that wasn't really nice. Now, the southern tip of Pinellas County from where we live is like 30 minutes, assuming there's no traffic. This guy here looks like Willie Tonka down there, I tell you what. But anyways, it's not that far away. Let me tell you why we don't go there. We have to pay a toll to get over the Skyway Bridge, and then you got to get on another toll to get on the road that takes you to the beach. And then when you get to the beach, you have to pay for parking. So That's a lot of pain, especially when you consider that half the time we've been up here, there's been red tide, dead fish, stinky animals. Last time we were up here in St. Pete Beach, there was like a layer of dead oysters. I don't know what the crap they're called, but it stank. Now, I was metal detecting in Pinellas County in the backwater, and I dug a hole, and the sand smelled like death. And then I looked around, and I realized that there was like leftovers from the red tide buried in the sand. So not exactly the type of place you want to get a cut and end up with an amputation. But that's the reality right now of the coastline of Florida, that, yeah, they cleaned up the sand, and yeah, things are starting to look normal. But there's a lot of contamination in the water that's still causing problems. And the state of Florida just wants to pretend like it's not happening. But this is going to cost Florida billions of dollars in tourist dollars. And the state of lying to people and getting them to come over here probably will be like the icing on the cake, because if they don't come to Florida because there's an environmental issue, well, then maybe they'll come again when there isn't one. But if you lie to people and they come here during a time when they should have been warned not to come here, then maybe they'll never come back again, Florida, because you screwed them over. It's kind of like if you hire somebody to work for you and they do a bad job, perhaps next time you won't hire them again. And I think the state of Florida is really messing up right now by deceiving people about the reality of the red tide. You guys saw my video series about here on the Manatee County coast, where we did videos showing you guys dozens of places where there was dead fish, massive fish kills, and Florida Wildlife Conservation comes out saying we don't have red tide. And they even made a statement about it, saying there isn't no red tide. You can come to Florida, when we were just doing videos covering the red tide. So they want to lie to people and deceive people because they think they're going to make money in the short run. But I think this is really going to come back and bite Florida in the butt, because people are not going to come back to Florida. If you lie to them, tell them that it's good to come here when things are not really ready. Very fiscally irresponsible what's happening in Florida. All these big developers care about is the dollars. So the experience of coming to Florida right now is, unfortunately, that there is still a lot of red tide, there's still contamination, and, you know, dig a hole in the sand, and a month after the red tide, and there's still fish that were buried that smell horrendous. So it's a long-lasting thing, and, you know, they want to pretend like it's not. Hopefully it goes away. Hopefully, you know, the water gets oxygenated and things improve and we don't have that problem. But why the state of Florida is deceiving people, I mean, the facts show. Clearwater Beach is starting to look good. I mean, they've cleaned it up, whatever, but there are long-lasting effects. These guys on the bicycles got really annoying. I'm not sure why they decided to drive their bicycles on the road, but they were really pretty haphazardly weaving in and out of cars. One's on the sidewalk, the other one is on the road, so they think they own the whole place. And that's really the problem here in Clearwater Beach. It really attracts some of the most entitled tourists that I've seen anywhere. And that kind of ruins the vibe a little bit, because it's a nice vibe. It really is. But you're going to meet some people here, and you're going to be like, what the crap? But anyways, it's like any beach town, and nowhere's perfect. But look at how beautiful this is. It's almost as beautiful as California. Now, on the north end of the island, you have some residential areas that were closed even until like a few months ago. I think they finally opened it up. There used to be a lot of vacation rentals back there. It's not looking good. It's going to be a while before that part of Clearwater Beach gets back to what it used to be. So things to do in the Clearwater area. Like I said, downtown Clearwater is just dead. Clearwater Beach, this area that we're seeing here, this is the highlight really. And it looks beautiful. I mean, the sunset on the beach, you can't beat that. There's still, for being a Monday, the vibes aren't that bad. Lots of young people, that's very good. But I'm wondering really, how is Florida going to compete with the fact that people are now going to other states? There's just been too many things happen here that have left people not wanting to come to Florida. The state is going ahead and just pretending like the red tide's not here anymore. That's what they're doing. But my blogging and people are going to keep posting photos on the internet about the dead fish, and people are checking in the hospitals with respiratory complications from the red tide. So you can be listening to police radio and you're going to hear people going into the hospital for red tide complications. So it's not something that is easily just pushed underneath the rug. I think they're just hoping that if they ignore the problem, it's going to go away. But that's not really the reality of contamination. I decided to go south here. I was going to go north back again, but then I decided to go south. I realized, it's almost sunset and we still have to get all the way back to Bradenton. And I'm going to do another video showing you guys the rest of this drive all the way down to St. Pete Beach. And yeah, it is a Friday, but come on, dude. Like, this is the time of the year when Florida needs to be packed and it's empty. And, the hurricane cleanup has happened. So, there's still places that need work, but structurally, everything's there. The beach is there. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in Florida, but this has been the worst tourist season that we have ever seen. And the fact that Clearwater Beach and the Clearwater area in general are vacant is a little concerning. This area, even on a Monday, should be packed. And it's practically a ghost town compared to what it should be. So, Florida's been suffering a lot. And even I turned on the Uber app, and there was a lot of activity back towards St. Pete. The whole St. Pete area was red on the map, but up here it was dead. There wasn't even a surcharge, not even during rush hour. So it's definitely concerning how empty Florida is right now. I just did some videos all over the state, really. I've been all over. I just got back from Miami. Things are not as busy as people say. I was just down in Naples and Bonita, and the people there, traffic's been horrible. Not really. It used to be worse than that. You don't know what bad traffic is in Naples and Bonita. I grew up in Naples, so I know what bad traffic looks like in Naples. Everybody told me traffic was bad in Naples. I went down there, and I flowed through the city pretty good. So Florida is not at capacity right now, and the real estate inventory is back to 2012 levels, which is bad. It's not back to 2007, 2008, but 2012, things still hadn't picked up a whole lot. Things were just starting to kick up again. So there's a lot of available real estate in Florida. The Fort Myers MLS, last time I checked, had 3,200 properties with price reductions. And it had been going up a few hundred every week. So if it keeps that trend going, by now it should be at 3,500. I'll get that checked out for you guys soon. We'll give you guys a recent update on that. But anyways, the amount of price reductions in Fort Myers is well over 3,000 a week. Over 3,000 price reductions in the last 7 days. That's a lot of decision making if you think about it. But that's the reality of the real estate market right now in Florida. There's a lot of inventory. There's a lot of price reductions. And the state now all of a sudden says, well, we're going to get rid of property taxes. That's just another gimmick to get people to keep buying into the Florida balloon. I think people realize that what you're paying right now for homeowners insurance is like 5 times what you're paying for property taxes or something. It depends on each person's scenario. But I've seen people that would be paying $1,700 a month, not a year, a month in homeowners insurance if they're in a flood zone. So the reality is that right now in Florida, even if you got rid of property taxes, insurance is so high that it's actually more than mortgage for some people. I know that sounds insane, but again, it's a reality of Florida. And the state promising to get rid of property taxes in the future, it's just another gimmick to keep the real estate market from crashing. And it's not going to crash everywhere. It's going to crash here in Florida. We had the hurricanes. Normally after hurricanes, there's a good bounce back. Forget a bounce back. In Fort Myers and Naples, you had prices increase after Hurricane Ian because people needed real estate to rebuild their properties. Well, that didn't really happen in Sarasota and Bradenton. And this area up here, people are bailing out. This area hadn't get hit by a hurricane in 100 years, and the people down that way are familiar with hurricanes. It's kind of a wake-up call for a lot of people who believe that if you had no hurricanes for 100 years and all of a sudden you get hit by 2 of them, and actually 3 because there was another one that came pretty dang close and also caused some flooding there and all that with the storm surge, people are getting the picture that things are getting a little serious in the state of Florida, and perhaps living in a state that seems to be crumbling to pieces isn't where they want to be, logically, ecologically. Hurricanes Even legislatively, the state seems to be going through a nightmare right now. Let's not forget now that insurance is through the roof. How much time you got? A state that a huge portion of its economy is based off of agriculture, and now it's also going after the people who work in agriculture, even though nobody else will do those jobs and there isn't robotic technology like people think. No. I was just in the fields with the strawberries. Who's picking strawberries? Thousands of migrants. Who's picking oranges? Thousands of migrants. Anyways, the state of Florida is a mess that who would want to be a part of? And a lot of the investing that came into the state of Florida, even during COVID, it wasn't just New Yorkers like they made you believe on YouTube. A lot of that was foreign money. Colombia, Venezuela, Ukraine, Russia, even China. People who are now not buying in Florida because in some of those countries' cases, the state legislature specifically mentions that they can't buy real estate. So the reality of Florida is that the people who are actually investing in Florida are no longer here. Let's not forget that a lot of the tourism along this coast of Florida was international, and internationally people don't want to come to the United States right now, especially the state of Florida. Brazilians, Mexicans, South Americans were a huge part of Florida's economy, especially during the summer months when the snowbirds didn't come down. The people from Argentina, the southern hemisphere, came up here to have warm weather and get away from the cold Argentinian and Chilean winters. So a lot of other people from South America also came because prices were lowered during the summer to take advantage of Florida without Florida winter prices. They're from tropical countries like Venezuela and Colombia who wouldn't want to be here regardless if it was cold during the winter when the snowbirds are down. So yes, as you can see, there's a little bit of vibe in Clearwater Beach, but it's nothing like it's supposed to be. Most of it looks like a freaking ghost town, and it's questionable with all the things that are going wrong right now in the state of Florida. Who the crap would want to come here to see this misery? It could pop off by spring break. We'll have to see what happens there. But at this time, take a look around. It looks pretty freaking empty. It looks actually eerily empty in much of the Tampa Bay coast. If you want to see the rest of this drive, there's going to be another video on my channel showing you the rest of the drive, which looks even sadder than this. And as of 3/4/2025, I'm making this video at midnight, so now it's 3/4. There was red tide there today on the beaches. We could smell it, we could feel it. We started coughing, sneezing, and we heard other people coughing at the beach. So it wasn't a figure of our imagination. Yes, there is still red tide along the beaches. And you'll see that in my other video that's compiled out of Pinellas County if you don't believe me. Because there's always somebody that says, I didn't say nothing, so you're lying, Jose. Okay, good luck with that. Very sad situation. Hopefully by spring break it'll get better. But again, if you guys keep running out the spring breakers, maybe that won't exist in Florida either. I don't understand really what the state of Florida is doing because they keep running away the people that bring money. They got rid of the spring breakers. They got rid of the homeless people. They got rid of the crackheads. They were crackheads who kept that little crap house down there running, man. They got rid of, now Canadians. They don't like Canadians. They don't like immigrants. They don't like international. Who is going to be left here? Look at this. They've ran everybody off. On top of all the natural disasters that we're dealing with, they've scared off everybody that used to come here. And they wonder why it's a freaking ghost town. It has to be on purpose because, there's no way you can make these mistakes by accident. There has to be an agenda behind it. I don't know what that agenda is, but it couldn't be by mistake. It's just too many bad decisions on top of each other. Maybe they're just reckless. Maybe they don't care. Maybe the only thing that matters in Florida is pleasing the ideology of a few people, and everything else can go to crap. Hey, isn't Alabama just like that? Yeah, let's turn Florida into Alabama. That's what's really happening here right now. This is pretty freaking sad. In fact, I wouldn't doubt that there's more life in Alabama right now than there is in some of these Florida beach towns. It's pretty freaking sad.